It's time to talk men's football, but unfortunately, I'm a woman, so I'll be talking men's football with you. All right, let's begin with the domestic scene. The South African PSL has got one game. Orlando Pirates went 1-0 against Richards Bay in the South African PSL there. Of course, great win for them. 3 points in the bag for Orlando Pirates. Still missing the likes of Olisanda. You know, he's got a pivotal, a place for Orlando Pirates. Yeah. But it seems they are coping without him, do you see?
Well, Orlando Pirates are a big team in South Africa, and you expect them to, despite the fact that Olisanda is pivotal for them, the ability of a good team, to get a replacement or maybe somewhat close to a replacement is very, very important. And I'm glad that they are doing well without him. But when he comes back, I think he's coming back next year. So
yeah,
it's gonna
January,
be like,
sometime in January.
It's going to be like he's coming back into a new team. Yeah. But it's a big name in South African football. So we expect Olisanda to be back into Orlando Pirates in January. But I still wish them good luck regardless. Yes,
I'm sure the coach also expects that he'll be back earlier than January. But let's move away from that. FIFA, a lot are asking a lot of questions about FIFA. What's really happening with FIFA? Is it all about desperation to get more money or to get more visibility? You can't say desperation for more visibility because FIFA games, the World Cup, most watched by a lot of people. But this time, FIFA has outlined regulation for its controversial Club World Cup. A 32-team, 63-game tournament to be held in the United States next summer. Among them is a requirement that all clubs must field their strongest team. Teosi, this worries me a lot. They must have to field their strongest teams, or they are threatened that there'll be heavy sanctions if they refuse to do so. Also included in the regulation announced on Tuesday is the provision that, according to reports, requires players to report 3 to 5 days before the opening fixture set for June 15. With an international window scheduled for June 6 to 10, 2025, it will leave many top players no time for rest at the end of the packed 2024-2025 season. Furthermore, clubs are not required to release players for major tournament, potentially harming the strength of the U.S. men's national team at the Gold Cup. Now, due to be played in July. I'm wondering what FIFA is up to, Toyosi. I'm really wondering what FIFA is up to,
Well, for me, I think FIFA is just more like trying to do things that would favor their own pocket. Because when you look at it, clubs are definitely going to suffer. We've seen Rodri, we've seen players come out to complain about the numerous games they are playing this time around.
The congested fixtures.
Yeah, a lot of people would say the amount of money you're basically receiving, it is, a lot more than what a civil servant would definitely collect, even in Europe. But
so you think right now they're playing for the amounts they've been paid?
Of course, they're playing for the money. And the only thing I'm just going to fault FIFA for is saying, okay, I'm not going to fault FIFA for this. They said you have to field your strongest team.
Yeah.
Imagine a City playing, we have over 20 teams playing in this tournament this time around. The FIFA Club World Cup used to be for winners of the Continental Championships, but now it has been expanded. And why? Because of money.
And so you think all these is just because FIFA wants more money in the bank?
It is money, and you can see teams that would eventually maybe want to field half of their team.
The academy players.
Yes, and it will basically leave people who are watching the games not to be interested.
All right, let's see if we can make sense of this, having been joined by a sport journalist from the United States. We've got Andrew Oysen joining us here. Thank you so much, Andrew, for joining us on the show.
Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be with you all.
I will begin by saying congratulations to you. You have a new sheriff in town. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It was a very long night on yet. So yeah, here we go. Let's see what happens there.
Congratulations to Donald Trump there. But let's talk football. Still talking football here. FIFA coming up with these regulations, also threatening sanctions for clubs who do not follow the regulations. But these rules follow a lot of controversy around the uncertainty around this tournament and if it will happen or not. How do you think the clubs will have to balance domestic league commitment with these new requirements for the Club World Cup, Andrew?
Well, yes, we've been stressing this over the last 10, 15 years as the matches continue to increase the elite clubs in Europe, around the world, they need to have depth. And this tournament, for those participants in this competition, is going to be stretched to the ultimate limit. So this is something where head coaches have to be mindful of the status of their players, the injuries, the rest that's needed, and they're going to need to rotate their squad well for this competition as well as for their domestic and continental competition. So it's going to be a major test in that regard with squad depth and manager usage of players.
All right, in your opinion, you just talked about the coaches, the players. Does this rule raise the stakes? Because I'm wondering what's the catch for FIFA here. Does it raise the stakes for clubs that typically would field weaker sides in its competition, like the previous edition?
Well, I think, when it comes to FIFA, they want this tournament to be taken with the utmost seriousness by the clubs. They want to see the stars play. I mean, you're going to have Inter Miami there with Lionel Messi.
Yeah.
You're going to have your top European clubs, of course. That's the ultimate priority for FIFA because they're trying to expand into the United States, further their footprint in the United States and around the world. As you all just discussed before having me on, it's all about the money. FIFA loves money, and this is another opportunity for them to expand their reach, expand their marketing and their opportunities. So, it seems like they're kind of dragging the clubs, kicking and screaming into this competition and the players, but in the end, it sounds like, these clubs are committed. And, of course, the most important thing is going to be rotating the teams, but also getting those stars onto the pitch that FIFA wants so bad.
So how do they get to rotate this thing? Because this will create a lot of tension between club managers and national teams. There is an international window in June, and they also have Club World Cup commitments. They've got domestic league commitment, especially during this schedule for the Club World Cup. Don't you think this will raise tensions among national team coaches and club coaches?
Absolutely, Onyexi. We've already seen plenty of organizations advocating for the players, for the clubs, who have really expressed their disappointment that this tournament is going to be played. And it's been really the theme that's overshadowed this competition, whereas people want the attention to be on the football and the star talent that's going to be on display. I think that's been fair to say that's been overshadowed by the protests of clubs and players who are all expressing their continued disappointment that more and more competitions are being added. So things seem to be coming to a head. We'll see what happens when this competition arrives. I imagine that sort of tension will continue to increase, particularly with, like you mentioned, all the matches that are going to be played with the championships in Europe winding down. You have the June international window. So it seems like we're only seeing the beginning of this. I think this noise is going to continue to grow, increase in volume, and it's really going to come to a head, once the players have played all these matches and they're kind of at the end of their club season. So we'll see what happens, but I think this noise is only going to increase in volume.
All right, I'm hoping that FIFA can have to rethink that decision there of having to sanction clubs that do not field their best or strongest teams. Andrew Oysen, you have to still stick around with us as we continue the conversation in the world of football. Let's go to the UEFA Champions League. I know that it's interesting times. We saw shockers coming from the UEFA Champions League, but before we go into the shockers, there was a minute silence. May the Lord grant the family of the bereaved the fortitude to bear those losses. All right. Now talking the shockers in the UEFA Champions League. I still have here Teosi Afalayan and Andrew Oysen. Sporting CP and AC Milan, they pulled the most eye-catching wins of the opening night of that UEFA Champions League Matchday 4 encounter. It was all about Viktor Gyökeres. He scored a hat-trick. Sporting CP pulled off the result of the night against Manchester City, while Díaz struck a treble of his own to maintain league phase leaders, Liverpool, that perfect record. AC Milan also stunned Real Madrid in the Spanish capital. Celtic, Borussia Dortmund, PSV Eindhoven, Dynamo and Monaco also picked up victories for the Matchday 4 encounter. All right, looking at the shockers for the night, which of these shockers was more heavier? Díaz, let me start with you. The win for AC Milan against Real Madrid, or the win by Sporting against Manchester City?
Well, I think we all know that Real Madrid are having issues, internal issues, players unsettled from Kylian.
So will you choose that as the biggest shocker for you?
Of course not, because we expected maybe a draw or something quite similar. But Sporting Lisbon, tutoring Pep Guardiola's Manchester City has to be like the shock of the night. Gyökeres himself was more like passing an audition, so, you know, we've seen Arsenal fans saying that this guy cannot play in the Premier League. He won't get a space. He won't get space and everything to you know, to
But
try.
he looks like Amorim wants him. He's one of those players.
Of course, but, you know, for Amorim to actually bring him to Manchester United, he has to offload some forwards in Manchester.
Okay, okay.
They were going to
Let me quickly get that of Andrew. Andrew, which of them was the biggest shocker for you?
I'm going with AC Milan winning in Madrid. You know, Milan is a talented team, but they haven't really quite put it together in domestic play in the Serie A this season. They're still finding their identity under manager Fonseca. And, I mean, anytime you go to the Bernabeu and win and get all 3 points in that sort of manner, I think it's attention-grabbing to me as opposed to Manchester City, who had to go away from home. And, you know, as Bernardo Silva said, you know, the club's in kind of a dark place at the moment. You know, they're just hitting a real bump in the road, so to say, and I think Sporting really caught them at a good time. Whereas the Milan result is really quite surprising to me in Madrid, despite some of the struggles that the Spanish club has had.
All right, but looking at Manchester City, you're wondering what's really happening to them. They've had 3 losses back-to-back from the English Premier League down to the UEFA Champions League at this time. And Real Madrid, at the moment, they are sitting 17th in the standing of the UEFA Champions League table. You're really wondering what's really happening to these big teams at the competition. Do we say the fatigue is not telling in, or the congested fixtures, you know, making teams not have a sense of direction of which competition to put in their arsenals?
Well, I think that's certainly a factor. I mean, we've discussed the new format of the Champions League. It adds a couple matches onto the schedule and things like that. But yeah, you know, when you have the Cup, you have Manchester City. They were coming off their Carabao Cup, their English Premier League defeat. Of course, you know, at this point, I would say this is when the realities of fixture congestion really begin to hit. When the group stage of the Champions League continues to intensify. So I think this is certainly a good time to catch these clubs while they're slipping, while they're still trying to find their form and their team chemistry. And but credit must be given to the clubs, you know, Sporting and AC Milan, who they really brought their best. They brought their best performance on the day, and they took advantage of this kind of period in the schedule to deliver their best performances and get 3 crucial points.
All right, just looking at that, I think there's trouble on the mountain for Manchester City at this time. But let's see, of course, what Ancelotti is saying. Then we'll be reacting to his reaction after the match.
Paciente o no, la realidad es que lo que se ve en el campo, que nos falta algo, que el equipo no es capaz de demostrar una buena versión, sobre todo en los últimos 2 partidos, y que tenemos que arreglarlo esto, todo ahí. Hemos encajado 9 goles en los últimos partidos, esto es demasiado para un equipo como el nuestro, que ha construido su fuerza sobre la solidez.
Questo tipo di partite sono totalmente diverse da quello che abbiamo in Serie A. E dire che questo è un Milan che io voglio, ma se possiamo magari essere sempre la stessa squadra in Serie A, no, non credo, perché quello che abbiamo in Serie A magari solo noi che siamo in Italia capiamo questo, non c'è qui non c'è squadra uomo-uomo, tutto il campo. Penso.
Let's move away from that and give you the results for the day. Yes, Liverpool had a perfect still maintaining that perfect start to the competition. Yes, great from the Reds, as they say. But Bologna and AS Monaco, that ended 1-0 over there. Borussia Dortmund won against Stroms, and we've got Celtics beating RB Leipzig 3-1. Real Madrid fell on the day, Manchester City fell on the day. But today opens the door for other encounters. We've got the likes of Club Brugge up against Aston Villa. Shakhtar Donetsk will take on Young Boys. Bayern Munich will be back again against Benfica. Feyenoord will take on Salzburg. We've got Barcelona will be in action today. Arsenal are in action today. And we've got Paris Saint-Germain. And Paris Saint-Germain, Luis Enrique, he says he's going up for the clash against Atletico Madrid. All right, we're hoping that this clash is one nobody wants to miss against Atletico Madrid. Of course, you don't want to miss that. Teos, let's begin with you. What are you predicting in a few seconds?
Well, I think Atletico Madrid needs to, they need to step up. They've not done well in the past 2 games. So maybe like a 2-0 victory for them should suffice. Yeah.
You sure? Yeah. All right. Andrew, do you also support that motion?
I'm not sure about that. I don't know. It'll be interesting to watch. I think, Inter-Arsenal is the real premier match out of this fixture list. So I think it's always tough to go to Italy and get a proper result. So I think I'm going to go with a 1-0 victory for Inter. I'm putting my neck out there on that.
I'm hoping that your neck don't get chopped off, at the end of the day. But thank you so much, Andrew Oysen. It's been an interesting conversation. And I'm hoping that a lot of those who go out betting do not take your words for it, because they'll come for you, bro. Thank you so much for joining us on the show today.
Bring it on, Governor supporters. Thanks for having me on yet. It's a pleasure to be on the show.
It's a pleasure to have you. Thank you, Teosia, for joining me on the show today.